Hello, BookTube. This is a book chat, ongoing series about the Dragon Riders of Pern. This is the third novel, The White Dragon. And like with the previous two novels, this is a buddy read with Elena Macrodina. We'll link our channel down below. We've read the first 5 chapters. We break the book up to read throughout a month. And read the first 5 chapters of the new novel. Pern is a planet that was settled ages ago by humans. They were unaware at the time that a red star, or red planet actually, would pass closely by. When it did, it dropped these spores, and the spores they call thread, because that's what it looks like when it's falling, would destroy organic material, organic matter. So the original colonists and their descendants continued on their work, adapted local small species of dragon-like creatures to become very large creatures, and they would burn the thread as it fell. So there's dragon riders, there's wares where the dragon riders and their dragons live, there's holders, which are sort of like medieval lords, there's craft guilds. There's a lot of knowledge that's been lost over the centuries. Every time a group of these thread event happen, it's a turn. So, you'll have years and years of thread falling, then you might have centuries where it doesn't. And then knowledge about how to battle and all that stuff is lost. There's been an ongoing conflict between old-time dragon riders that were brought from the past with the more modern wares. There's different types of dragons now. Some of the original small fire dragons have been tamed for the first time in ages. It was considered impossible. We're starting this third novel with a young man, Jackson, who has impressed a dragon. He's a lord, so he traditionally should not have impressed a dragon, which means it's attached to him mentally and emotionally and for life. It's a white dragon, which is not the type of dragon anyone's ever seen before. It's smaller than others. And we're only in the first 5 chapters, but there's something special about that dragon, and otherwise the book wouldn't be called The White Dragon. And you can already tell there's definitely something special about this young man. We're starting to see the older dragon lords getting nervous. The dragon riders and their leaders. The older ones had gone to the southern continent. Their dragons are smaller than the newer generations. They're less efficient. They're very hidebound and tradition-bound. So we have a few events occur out of their desperation because they're getting older and they're passing on. We're also getting introduced to a lot of younger characters, and this has, superseded some of the original world building that we got in the first 2 volumes, where it was necessary. Some of the characters that we've grown to enjoy over the first 2 novels, they're getting up there in age. So we'll see the next generation come along. So, again, it's an excellent read. I'm enjoying it very much. I recommend the trilogy strongly. McCaffrey wrote a lot of Pern books, and they weren't all just dragon riders. So I thought I'd read a little piece here from this wonderful history of science fiction, Trillion Year Spree, The History of Science Fiction by Brian W. Aldiss, assisted by David Wingrove. It's Athenaeum Press. Mine was an old library copy. Came out in 1986. And it's a brown paper, no dust jacket or anything. So here they're talking about Astounding Magazine, which became in 1960 Analog Magazine. By general consent, Astounding Analog was the best and most influential of all popular science fiction magazines. During 1960, Campbell changed the title over from Astounding to the more anodyne Analog, and he continued to edit until his death in 1971. By then, the heat had gone out of the stove, although excellent writers like Frank Herbert, Harry Harrison, Mac Reynolds, and Robert Silverberg still appeared there. The first appearance of James Triptree Jr. was in Analog in '68. Anne McCaffrey's Pern Dragon stories, beginning with Were Search, made their debut in '67. And they go on to describe Campbell, who so many science fiction writers, classic science fiction writers, owe so much to. Say, John Campbell was a bit of a Philistine and a bit of a chauvinist, but first and foremost, he was a bit of a miracle. And by accepting these stories and giving them a home for McCaffrey, and having these stories have such an odd mix. They're not mixed, they're science fiction, but they have an odd feel of fantasy to them, which works well. I think that was really, for somebody who was very scientifically minded like Campbell, was a pretty neat thing. But he loved story first and foremost. And in these Pern books by McCaffrey, story is everything. So they're great ideas, great world building, interesting speculation, but first and foremost is story. So I'm really enjoying them. Highly recommend them. And we'll be here next week with the next chapters. So thank you, Elena, and thank you, BookTube.